Can you tell me who leads all Major League Baseball third basemen in Fangraphs WAR since the start of 2016? And who leads all National League third basemen in WAR since 2014? I will give you a hint. It's not the Red Dream.
And Turner in the air to center field. That ball's hit well. Martinez on the run. This is way back, and it is gone! It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner!
It's not Wonder Kids Matt Chapman or J-Ram pre-2019. It's not even World Series heroes Alex Bregman or Chris Bryant, or World Series non-hero Mr. Johnny Hustle himself.
Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series!
So I guess that leaves us with one choice, doesn't it? So which National League third baseman is likely to be the most valuable player at his position over the last half-decade? My great deduction skills lead me to believe that the answer is A4 Arenado.
Ground ball, diving stop, Nolan will get one on the first, double play. How about that third baseman? That'll get everybody out of their chairs early.
Wow, that is I'm gonna call that pretty solid right there. And that's the end of this video.
That's all, folks.
No. So if you were to guess any one of these guys, you'd be dead wrong. While any of the aforementioned players are obvious studs, and proof that the game today is in good hands, the answer is actually A for Anthony Rendon of the Washington Nationals, that is. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard of Anthony Rendon, and if you have, I'm pretty sure that you've heard that Anthony Rendon is one of, if not the most single underrated player in the majors today. Well, not to sound like a broken record, but he is, kinda, just a little bit. You see, Rendon is the leader in Fangraphs wins above replacement since 2014 among all National League third basemen. And I get it, WAR is not a perfect statistic, and some people, usually those that don't seem to understand it,
Coincidence? I think not!
will argue that WAR isn't even a real statistic. But I find it to be a good estimate of how much a player contributes to his team. That's why you will constantly find Mike Trout number 1 or number 2 in the WAR leaderboards every single year, and not say, I don't know, Todd Frazier.
I don't know, he must really like me because he wants to get my attention. It seems like every time we come here to town, and he really cares what I think about him, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, how is a player who has over 16.1 WAR since 2017, fourth in Major League Baseball to Anthony Rendon's 14.7 WAR, and I get it, decimals, it's not that big of a difference, but the fact is that he is seen as more valuable than Arenado in this regard, and that should say a little something. Rendon has 20 WAR since 2016, which is 5th in all of Major League Baseball, and 27.9 since 2014 when he truly broke out. And this is 7th in all of baseball, 7th. Among all the players you would think would be above him, and he is 7th. And yet, Rendon has never even made an All-Star team.
The blasphemy!
He didn't even make the starters round this season, which was supposed to fix what the All-Star ballot has become in the last few years, which has basically been a popularity contest. I mean, seriously, I'm not God's gift to baseball by any means, but Alcides Escobar was the best shortstop in the American League in 2015? Really? This season, Rendon has been otherworldly. I mean, he's already, as I mentioned, been one of the best all-around players in baseball for a little over half a decade now. But this season, he has taken it to a whole new level. If it weren't for a few weeks that he was out with an elbow injury early on, Rendon seriously would be the legitimate candidate to win the Most Valuable Player award in the National League. And as crazy as that sounds, with the monster seasons that Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich are having, Bellinger for MVP, by the way. Look at what Rendon has done this season in 69 games and just over 250 at-bats. Anthony Rendon in 2019 has a .311 batting average, .398 on base, .630 slugging for an OPS of 1.028. With 19 home runs, 58 runs batted in, 21 doubles, 63 runs scored, 32 walks and 46 strikeouts, and a 156 weighted runs created plus. Good for 5th in all of baseball this season and 3rd in the National League behind Bellinger and Yelich. All statistics are as of July 1st unless otherwise noted. Little disclaimer. And are you guys starting to see a trend? Because I am. I keep seeing a lot of top 5s in MLB, top 3 in the National League with Anthony here. And yet he wasn't even among the top 3 third basemen in the NL this season, in the eyes of the fans.
The blasphemy! The blasphemy!
Let's go a little deeper into this. So right now, I'm going to throw some StatCast data at you, courtesy of Baseball Savant. So for those faint of heart, don't say I didn't warn you. So StatCast tells us that Anthony Rendon this season is 4th among players with 100 batted balls in barrels per plate appearance percentage at 11.9%, which is behind only Gary Sanchez, Joey Gallo, Jose Abreu, and just ahead of Mike Trout, among all people. He has 35 barrels to his name. Now, barrel is a batted ball hit in that sweet spot, according to premium exit velocity and launch angle. The sweet spot is anything hit over 98 miles per hour, launched in that 26 to 30 degrees range. Rendon is tied for 8th in barrels with Josh Bell. His 53.1% hard hit rate, which is anything hit over 95 miles per hour, is 5th in all of baseball, right up there with big-time sluggers like Aaron Judge, Miguel Sano, Joey Gallo, and Matt Olson. The difference is Rendon is the only one out of his 5 to do this with over 200 batted ball events, and the only one to do it without striking out at the swing and miss rate that those Titans do. In other words, Rendon is having the great power year he is having without sacrificing much in plate discipline or contact. A dangerous combination that is almost reminiscent, no, it is reminiscent, of 3 of the biggest names in baseball right now. And I know you're so tired of hearing these names: Mike Trout, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger. As of right now, among players with at least 100 plate appearances, Anthony Rendon has a WOBA, which can be read similarly to on-base percentage of around 330 is league average. Anything north of 400 is your elite of the elite. Anthony Rendon this season has a WOBA of 410, tied for only 10th in all of baseball. However, his expected WOBA, which takes into account a player's walk and strikeout numbers, but also combines it with the quality, keyword quality of contact, not just the outcome. For example, let's say a player hits a ball at 100 miles per hour, a launch angle of about 25 degrees. So the quality of contact right there is hulking. But because it was hit at a relatively low launch angle, an elite defender like Billy Hamilton in Miami's cavernous center field was able to track it down. In the scoreboard, that's an F8. In reality, most of the time a ball hit like that is going to do some serious damage, and expected WOBA takes that into account to determine what a player should be hitting at. So what should Anthony Rendon be hitting at this season? His expected WOBA is 432, 4th in baseball, right under, ding ding ding, you guessed it, Cody Bellinger, Mike Trout, and Christian Yelich. The holy trinity of baseball right now. Expected WOBA basically means that other factors are in play that prevent Rendon from reaching the absurd level that he should be hitting at. Since Rendon is not a dead pull hitter, therefore he isn't shifted as frequently or in an extreme manner as that of a Joey Gallo, and he plays half his games in one of the most neutral parks in all of baseball, according to ESPN. You just gotta believe that Rendon isn't reaching his ceiling simply because of poor luck. What else is new in DC?
Got him!
This is obviously very different to Nolan Arenado, whose numbers are vastly inflated by Coors Field. No knock on Arenado, but Coors Field is Coors Field. Furthermore, Rendon has an 11% walk rate with a strikeout rate of 15.6%. Now, granted, this isn't upper echelon, I'll give you that. At least not like it was a couple of years ago, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's play a game here. Do you know how many players have as high a walk rate as Rendon has, with as low a strikeout rate and as high an ISO as Rendon has? And for isolated power, anything above 200 is considered awesome.
Awesome.
Rendon this season has an ISO over 300, 310 to be exact. I mean, that's like big sexy territory.
Malone looking for his first hit of the year. He drives one, deep left field. That goes Upton, back near the wall. It's out of here! Bartolo has done it! The impossible has happened!
But back to our game. How many MLB batters this season with at least 290 plate appearances have a walk rate above 10.5%, a strikeout rate below 19%, and an ISO over 250? To be nice and not completely blow away the competition. How many MLB players this season meet those thresholds? 7. Just 7 batters out of over 300, 400, I don't know, a lot of qualified batters. 7. The names: perennial MVP candidates Mike Trout, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger, Alex Bregman, Freddie Freeman, Anthony Rizzo, and yes, little old Anthony Rendon. But let's be a little conservative. Raise the isolated power to 300, lower the strikeout rate to 16%, and you have just 2. just two players who fit those benchmarks this season: Bellinger and Anthony Rendon. By the way, I just want to say this isn't to undermine any of the players in our league this season who are having legit All-Star and MVP seasons. Not at all. This is simply to show that one of those players is being greatly shoved out of the spotlight and it's his time. He got his due. Now, Mike Trout isn't one of those players that I just mentioned above. But you know what? You know what he does do? He walks a heck of a lot more than Rendon does at a 19.6 walk rate. Wow. And he strikes out less than his walk rate, and he hits for more power. And of course, he is indeed the GOAT. And Christian Yelich this season leads the world in isolated power, while walking more than Rendon at a 13.4 walk rate, and striking out a little bit more at an 18.5% clip. All these numbers I'm throwing at you, statistics, whatever, man, whatever. But I mention any of the names above: Yelich, Bellinger, GOAT. And to even the most casual of baseball fans, one automatically knows that these three are the best players in all of baseball this season. A more passionate baseball fan would probably pick Freeman, Bregman, and Rizzo as automatic All-Stars and possibly MVP candidates as well. But be honest, how many of you thought this was going to be a video about Anthony Rendon just by the name of the title? Shut up, Minaj! You were more likely to think that this was a video about Luke Voigt, Francisco Lindor, or even, assuming you know I'm a diehard Dodger fan, a video about Mad Max 2.0. By the way, Max made the All-Star team. That's just good for him. But how did he make it, ironically? Because Anthony Rendon is using the All-Star break as a way to recover from his injuries, which is noble and understandable, but if he had been voted in as a starter, the world would have gotten the privilege to see what Anthony Rendon can do on a baseball diamond. The national audience is truly missing out. No one thinks that Anthony Rendon is right up there with the Trouts and the Bellingers and the Yeliches of the world, except DC fans, and even they failed to get their hometown star into the All-Star game last season when it was on their own turf. By the way, I think Nolan Arenado is a phenomenal player, a Gold Glover, an epic clutch performer, a guy who, if he stays in Coors Field for the rest of his career, which that big contract he just signed is indicative of that, Nolan Arenado will most likely end up in Cooperstown. So how is our old friend Nolan Arenado doing in all this? Oh, he's only hitting .321, .385, .582, .967 OPS with 20 home runs, 65 runs batted, 60 runs, 103 hits, 34 walks, 47 Ks, for a 9.5 walk rate, 13.1 strikeout rate, and 9 of 261 and 362 plate appearances. And man, he's still doing things like this.
Slowly hit, and
Oh my!
out at second. How did Nolan do that one? That looked like it was at a Cirque du Soleil.
I'm not the only one who believes that Rendon has been robbed. ESPN writer Eddie Matz recently wrote, since the beginning of 2014, his first full season in the majors, Rendon has established himself as one of the best all-around players in the bigs. During that time, he has amassed a total of 27.9 WAR, which ranks 7th among all position players. The top 30 players on that list have combined to make 78 All-Star appearances over the past 5 seasons, and every one of them has been to the Midsummer Classic at least once, except for Rendon. Until this week, he was basically MLB's version of Glenn Close. Now, Glenn Close was a terrific actress in the 80s and 90s who, if you're a true baseball fan, you recognize from the baseball classic The Natural. She was a good actress that starred in other films such as The Big Chill, Hamlet, 101 Dalmatians. She was nominated for the Oscars but never won. For contemporary audiences, she was basically Leo DiCaprio before The Revenant. And so is Anthony Rendon. I alluded earlier to Anthony Rendon's 2017 season, and I want to throw just a few more stats at you that showed he had a season for the ages that, true to his baseball career, went pretty much unnoticed. In 2017, Rendon had more walks and strikeouts, 84 walks, 82 strikeouts, and he slashed .301, .403, .533. As common as you may think that is in today's game, not many hitters do this. Coupled with his exceptional, and I mean exceptional, defense at third base that year, he was my favorite to win the MVP until oh, so that's why he didn't win the MVP. Anthony Rendon has been overshadowed in Washington. Even though he himself was a former first-round pick, 6th overall in 2011, he's been overshadowed by names like Manchild prima donna Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, and more recently by legend Mad Max 1.0. Even the highlights you're watching of Anthony Rendon in this video aren't how I should say, electrifying. They aren't filled with the same juice as that of an Arenado or a Cody Bellinger or a Ronald Acuna or Peter Alonso. By the way, did you guys see that Vlad in that home run derby? Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
3 for 3.
In many ways, I think Rendon is actually a lot like Mike Trout. No, he is not Mike Trout, but there are some similarities. Trout is by far the best player in baseball of the last decade, and the best overall player since the kid and he who should not be named in his prime. When all is said and done, Trout will be mentioned legitly in heated debates as the top consensus Major League Baseball player of all time. And yet, it always seems that Trout has been, well, underappreciated. We're watching a downright legend before our very eyes, and we're taking him for granted. Instead, we're naming players such as Harper and Judge and Bellinger as the new faces of baseball, and having our own Commissioner Palpatine criticize Trout for not marketing himself.
Mike has made certain decisions about how he wants to play and what he wants to do with the rest of his life, and that affects the profile that you're going to have.
And as great players as they all are, minus Mr. 330 million. Are you shitting me? Have not come close to sustaining the solid, if not unspectacular, notice my sarcasm, numbers that Mike Trout puts up on a year-to-year basis. And so no, Anthony Rendon is not Mike Trout, but he is of the same mold, has the same character, same commitment to winning, and same underappreciation. He is a solid, well-rounded baseball player who impacts the ball on both sides of the plate, or on both sides of the scorecard, and will find himself in the top 10, maybe top 5 in MVP voting year in and year out, similar to Trout. Like Trout, Rendon is snubbed on a yearly basis, while Trout has been snubbed of at least 3 clear MVP trophies. Rendon has been snubbed every year since 2014 of an All-Star berth, not including the 2015 season in which he missed half the year due to injury. He was snubbed this year of starting the game when he was having his best season yet. Rendon is not going to be the MVP winner. He is probably not even going to be in the top 5 in MVP voting this season. But I kid you not, Anthony Rendon is going to have another above average, dare I say superstar season that is going to largely go unnoticed by the world of baseball. Anthony Rendon deserves better. He deserves more recognition. He deserves to start the All-Star game. He deserves, and is in fact deserving, of a massive contract this upcoming offseason. But most importantly, he deserves to be on a real winning team where his talents will not go unnoticed. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. I really enjoyed making this, and I hope to be doing more videos like this. Please like, share, subscribe, blah blah blah. No, please do subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And also, I'm trying to do like a 2019 first half mix. So like, comment below your favorite plays or moments that you can remember so far in the first half, and I'm gonna try to include it all in the video. Thank you all. Tortas out.